It was 2016. I decided to quit social media. I was out of direction in life. The question kept clinching to my ears, like an echo. What should I do? I kept thinking and thinking. This is not just me. I bet at some point in your life you have also felt something similar. When everything we think only turns into negative self talk. It was the day of our farewell, the last day in school when something happened that I didn't expect it. We often say that desires are suffering, and I really felt it. Too many expectations are harmful. In this video, I will tell you my little story on why I quit social media for more than a year and how it rekindled me, how I cooperated with my own insecurities and used healthy coping mechanisms to deal with them. Watch till the end because I'm sure you will take some valuable life lessons. That is rare because I don't want you to repeat the same mistakes I did. Hey guys, how are you? I hope you're doing fine. Before we move on to the story that I'm going to tell you what happened, first let's understand a simple theory which is known as a really interesting experiment, I would say, which is known as the Solomon-Asch experiment. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. So what is the Solomon-Asch experiment? So Solomon-Asch experiment is done on social conformity. Okay, why everything in social media you see might not be right, but you still believe in it. So here it goes. Here goes the experiment. So subjects, or you can say people, were asked to match a reference line on the left to one of the three comparison lines on the right, as you can see on your screen. Right, the interviewer asked the people which comparison line is the same length as the reference line. That means which line, this line, is equal to the lines on the right hand side. That means A, B or C, which one represent the same line. Okay, so the correct answer is line C, someone said. Okay, someone said that the correct line is line C. Line C and the left hand side line matches each other. So it seems obvious, doesn't it? So people in the experiment correctly matched those two lines more than 99% of the time when they were on their own. Right, here it is the most interesting part, guys. So when multiple actors were added and they gave wrong line as this answer, over 36% of the experiment participants chose the wrong line. The finding is really surprising, guys. So if I tell you right now that, you know what, line A actually represents the line in the left one side, then you will also choose line A as the correct answer. If 50% of the people choose line A and I tell you that 50% of the people chose line A, then you will also choose the line A. So this is how our brain tricks ourselves. This is how our brain tricks itself. So be really careful what you actually believe, you know, by watching social media, news and whatnot. So the Solomon-Asch experiment on social conformity suggests that without realizing it, many people conform to initial perception and social norm, selectively ignoring contradictory evidence. This has really bad implication, guys, because what it does is it can manipulate people easily. So if majority of people are following this ideology on social media, then chances are that rest of the people who are seeing that post or who are seeing those kind of videos will also going to follow the same ideology, and that is what Solomon-Asch experiment actually tells us. This is another reason that I quit social media for 1.5 years or more than 1.5 years, because I was really confused at that time, and at the same time I was seeing other people on social media posting so many different kind of topics on their careers, lives, and I was confused that I'm seeing my friend doing this, I'm seeing my another friend doing this, so I was confused. I how many things shall a 18-year-old guy follow? So I was really confused. So here goes the story. So in high school, I used to have a crush on a girl, and I was so shy at that time that I didn't even had the guts to express my feelings to that girl. So what happened is, later on I found out that she already had a boyfriend. So as a 18-year-old boy without any self-esteem, without doing much in his life, I got depressed. I was confused, and I was really devastated. And I know it's too funny, but I cried that day. My studies, even that was my high secondary, that was my final examinations were also close. So I cried that day. I used to wait for her to come online on social media, and I used to type her message saying, how was your day, how are you doing, but I didn't got any reply. She used to stay online, but she never intended to reply me, of course, because maybe she was busy with someone else. And I used to think a lot of different thoughts on my mind, thinking with whom she might be talking to, what is she doing, why she is not replying to me. That is how a naive child thinks, that if a girl don't reply to him, he's a failure. And that is the same thing that I thought few years ago when I was 18 years old. So when I found out that she already had a boyfriend, and one of my good friend already knew that fact, but he never told me, because my final examination were almost there. So he didn't want, my good friend didn't want to ruin my examination, because so he knew that if he speaks up to me about the fact that the girl that I or like already have a boyfriend, then I'll completely ruin my examination, because I'll keep on thinking the same thought again and again. And my good friend already knew that, and he didn't uttered a single word about her having a boyfriend. And after that examination, I got to found out that she already had a boyfriend. And as teenagers do, I was also extremely disappointed. I was extremely disappointed, and I was kind of I really don't know, but I was so naive at that time. And my friend used to tell me, see Akash, it's okay, she had a boyfriend, it's okay, just move on. There are a lot of good girls out there that you can hang around with. So but we all know what teenagers do. They still stick to the same thing, and I also did the same. I kept on messaging her. I didn't call her, but I had a number, so I kept on messaging her on WhatsApp, but she used to reply me after like 3 hours, 4 hours, even she used to stay online. So this is how it works, guys. If some of you guys are seeing this, please understand that in life, don't chase girls. I know in teenagers we all are like fools, I completely get that. We all are into this is like new kind of romance, first love at first sight. These kind of things are really common in teenage days. Like there would be a song playing in the background, and a fancy kind of feeling, like I have finally fallen in love, what should I do right now? So these kind of thoughts comes to a teenage mind, right? So an underdeveloped mind at the same time. So I didn't have any skills. I didn't knew what should I do with my life. I was totally confused because I was heartbroken. I know some of you guys might be thinking, how can a 19-18-year-old boy's hearts get broken? See, I told you already, and teenage brain is always an underdeveloped brain, and it's okay if you are kind of hurt in love, because at the same time, of course, that is not love, but that is what we teenager used to do in our time. We used to think that this is the only girl that I need to stay with for the rest of my life, but that's not true. Later I found out. Meanwhile, I started reading books to improve my thinking and expand my horizon. I also started learning new perspective on the world from the books that I was reading. I started journaling to express my feelings. I also started playing guitar. I know I don't play that well. I'm sorry for that. I slowly started to learn new skills. I exercise daily, or you can say it's like a habit. Habits are what slowly builds a person, or perhaps built the person I wanted to be, or I am right now. I always believe in the 1% rule that I learned from Atomic Habits book. If you improve yourself by 1% daily, then you will be a 37 times better version of yourself by end of the year. Just imagine this. That incident sparkled a thought inside me that I need to work upon myself. I need to know myself. Who am I? I need to start something to get myself distracted from these thoughts. And it was painful, but I did. And it's guys, you have to, guys or girls, you have to move on and start focusing on yourself, because you are the only person that is going to stay with you for the rest of your life. And first you have to know yourself. Who are you? Who are you? What type of person is inside of you? Do you know what are your strengths? Do you know what are your weaknesses? I told myself, I talked to myself like a friend, like a good friend, and I asked that it's okay if she's gone, then you don't have to worry about that. It's going to be hard. I know, but as people say, time heals everything. Time actually healed a lot of things. Right now, while making this video, I felt like laughing at those incidents that I did when I was 18 years old, when I was in my 12th standard. I felt like laughing right now, because that is how you would feel 5, 6, 7 years from now. If you are going through a rough time right now, for any kind of problem, if you're facing right now, you will laugh at these problem few years from now. Think about that, because time heals everything, my friend. Just keep working on yourself. Just keep finding what are the things that really gives you peace, gives you happiness. What are the things that you are really good at? You could be good at painting, you could be good at writing, you could be good at so many things. So just find out those things and do, and make a ritual that I'll perform these habits every single day. And quitting social media, I quit social media because I was comparing myself to other people. I was lost. I was seeing so many people being happy on social media. I was also jealous. And since those days, as I already mentioned, that it was pretty rough for a teenage to face these kind of situations, but I used journaling as a coping mechanism, as to deal my stresses, as to deal my insecurities, as to deal my strengths, or whatever you can say, to understand myself better. So I journaled a lot. I used to journal a lot. I quit social media and I wrote whatever I felt in these journals, right, as you can see. So guys, if you are facing any tough situations in your life, it could be related to social media, it could be related to anything, but first of all, you should have the guts to find the answer, that who you actually are, what type of person you are. And you know what, social media also affect teenager in a really bad way. Let me tell you this. The prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain that helps us process and direct our attention based on our goals, that is the last part of our brain that actually gets matured, right? So that makes it really difficult for young people to resist persuasive design. The brain is still developing, so self-awareness and willpower are still building up. So if as a teenage, if you have gone through a breakup, or let's say you have gone through a rejection, so your self-esteem is already low, you don't have anything to do with your life. So most of the teenagers are still figuring out their life, and it is really difficult for them to find something meaningful, and to dwell on those negative thoughts is a vicious circle, a spiral that you can never get out of. So you will be telling me like, Akash, so as a teenager I shouldn't have this feeling, I shouldn't love a girl, I shouldn't pursue compassion, affection with the opposite sex. See, of course it's what we are human beings. Of course you will do these kind of things, but if you get really invested in these situation thoughts in the early stage of your life, where you need to have your career as your first priority, then you are going to face a lot of difficulties later on in your life, or your late 20s, because you have invested a lot of time in building a broken relationship. Instead, you could invested the time in building something new, some new relationship, or meeting new people. Already your self-esteem is low when you are in your teenage, and a rejection, a situation like a girl ignoring you, becomes really difficult for your mind to cope. And social media, you will constantly scroll social media, seeing her posts, seeing her pictures, what she is doing, which guy is following her, which guy is messaging her, which guy is tagging her in a timeline. So your brain will dwell on all those futile things, all those nonsense, thinking that I wish she could be mine. That's completely bullshit, because your mind is bullshitting with you. Your brain is telling you a lie, because there are a lot of people out there, wonderful people out there, that you haven't yet seen, because you are just 18-year-old. And social media completely fuck up your brain, and you have no idea how harmful it affects you. I wasn't in a situation to accept that she went away from my life. I was not in a situation to completely accept the fact that she could never be mine. And I know that's a really childish thought. How could a teenage actually figure out that what he actually wants or what he doesn't want? Maybe you guys can call it an infatuation. Maybe it was an infatuation, but how could a teenage know that thing? So another thing is that negative social media was also made me engage with negative contents. What you should be doing if a girl ignores you, what you shouldn't be doing if a girl if you're talking to a girl. I used to watch those kind of videos. Research on young people's use of social media reveals that exposure to unrestrained level of digital technology can have serious long-term consequences for development. Social media can permanently change young people's brain structure and impact how they will think, feel, and act throughout their life. For instance, A National Academy of Sciences working group found that media multitasking among youth is associated with poorer memory, increased impulsivity, and change in brain function. First of all, I was already broken. My heart was already broken. As childish as it may sound, but I wasn't in a situation to actually do something. But I felt that my only option to move forward in life is to stop seeing her pictures, stop seeing her posts, or stop stalking her on social media, that with whom she's with, or with which guy she's posting pictures with. I didn't care that much. I slowly started to understand that I need to change myself for my betterment, for my future self. So I started reading self-help book, at least the most basic one, to build my mindset. That's it. So as teenage, we really, in our teenage times, we really have a low self-esteem, a really low self-esteem. So I needed to construct my self-esteem first. So I started reading self-improvement books. I started reading Think and Grow Rich, then The Secret book, I guess. Then I thought, I guess I read Atomic Habits also. So slowly and steadily I started building myself. I also started a YouTube channel before, at that time, but that thing failed. But anyways, I was slowly learning new things. I was slowly learning video editing. I was slowly learning Photoshop. I was learning how to build websites. I was also involved in startups and all at that time. I read so many books, guys, that year, after my farewell, after my school's farewell. I know I was too naive, too childish at that time. So these kind of situation will always come in your life, and you have to understand that it's okay. It's my teenage self, and my teenage self is childish. My teenage self is naive. My teenage self has low self-esteem, and it will do silly things, and that's completely fine. But what I need to do is I need to treat myself as a friend, a good friend, and make myself understand that what are the things that is causing problems for my growth, and eliminating those problems slowly, one by one. So that is what I did. I wasn't able to handle the social media pressures. I wasn't able to handle people being so happy on social media at the time, because my life was already fucked up, or maybe that is what I thought at that time. But I quit social media for that fact. And if you guys, if you also are facing these kind of problems, then I would really recommend that there's really little that is necessary for us to make ourselves happy. Happiness comes from peace, and a peaceful life is a happy life. And if you are not peaceful internally, then how can you be happy? How can you be happy? And if you are not self-aware, you will constantly be running after unnecessary desires. And as we know that desires are sufferings, the more desires you have, the more you will suffer. But it's okay to have few desires, but you should know them. You should know them, and you should pursue them accordingly. And ultimately, it's all about a peaceful life. If you're not peaceful, then you cannot be happy. And for me, social media made me unstable mentally at that point of time. But this is how it is. So this is my story. I know the video is a bit too long, and if you have came this far, I really appreciate you. Hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this. I'll see you on the next one, guys. Stay happy, stay healthy, keep smiling.